It's 3:17 a.m. You're awake. You know you're awake because you can see your bedroom ceiling, but you can't move. And there's someone standing in the corner. He's tall, impossibly tall. He's wearing a long coat and a wide-brimmed hat. And he's watching you. You can feel it. Even though you can't see his face, this is the Hat Man, and if you've seen him, you're not alone. Thousands of people across the world have met him in that space between sleep and waking. Here's what's strange. These people don't know each other. They're from different countries, different decades, different cultures, but they describe the same figure. Down to the hat. Science has explanations. Sleep paralysis, hypnagogic hallucinations, the brain misfiring at the edge of REM sleep. But the explanations don't answer one question. Why him? Why the same tall figure, the same coat, the same hat, over and over to people who've never heard of each other? To understand the Hat Man, you first have to understand what happens when you wake up wrong. Your brain is supposed to shut down your muscles during REM sleep. It keeps you from acting out your dreams. But sometimes you wake up before your body gets the message. Your eyes open, your mind is alert, and you're trapped, completely paralyzed. Your brain knows something's wrong. It floods with cortisol, fear chemicals, fight or flight, except you can't fight, and you can't run. You can only lie there. And that's when your brain does something else. It starts looking for threats. The amygdala, the fear center, goes into overdrive, and it finds what it's looking for. Humans are wired to see faces, to see human shapes. It's called pareidolia. We find patterns even when they're not there. In the dark, paralyzed, our brains manufacture threats. But here's where it gets strange. Most sleep paralysis hallucinations are random. A presence, a weight on the chest, sometimes demons, sometimes aliens, personal nightmares drawn from personal fears. About 20% of people will experience sleep paralysis at least once in their lifetime. Of those who do, up to 75% report seeing something in the room with them. And here's the number that matters. 58% sense something non-human. 22% saw a specific human figure, usually a stranger, standing, watching. The Hat Man fits a specific profile. Witnesses describe him as 6 to 10 feet tall. He wears a trench coat or long dark coat, a wide-brimmed hat, sometimes a fedora, sometimes something older. His eyes, when they can be seen, are either glowing red or simply empty. Pools of darkness where eyes should be. And he never speaks. He never moves. He just watches. Unlike other sleep paralysis entities, the Hat Man doesn't attack. He doesn't sit on your chest. He doesn't reach for you. He stands in the corner. And he observes. One researcher put it simply, he often just stands in a corner of the room watching you. And that's somehow worse than if he did anything else. The phenomenon has a turning point, a moment when private nightmares became a shared experience. April 12, 2001. Late night radio. Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Bell asked his listeners to draw the figures they'd seen at night, to sketch whatever had visited them in that paralyzed space between sleep and waking. Then he asked them to mail the drawings in. Hundreds of drawings arrived, different handwriting, different art styles, different parts of the country, but many of them showed the same thing, a tall figure, a long coat, a hat. For many callers, it was the first time they realized others had seen the same thing. Private terror became shared experience, and the Hat Man had a name. The internet changed everything. Message boards filled with accounts. Reddit threads sprawled into thousands of comments. People from Japan, Brazil, Germany, rural Alabama, all describing the same visitor. The descriptions varied only slightly from one culture to another. He's sometimes 6 feet tall and other times 10. His eyes might be bright red or deep pools of darkness. But everybody insists he's wearing a hat. A paranormal researcher summed up the mystery. The description varies only slightly from culture to another. His eyes might be red or pools of darkness. but everybody insists he's wearing a hat. Psychologists offer explanations. The Hat Man, they suggest, might be a subconscious reworking of cultural archetypes. The noir villain, the stranger on the train, Freddy Krueger's silhouette. But others argue the Hat Man predates modern media. Reports surface from the early 20th century, from cultures without access to Western horror films. The figure appears where there's no cultural contamination to explain him. Some researchers theorize about collective unconscious, Jungian archetypes bubbling up from some shared well of human imagery. The shadow made literal, wearing a costume that spans centuries. There's another connection that complicates the picture. The Hat Man is also associated with diphenhydramine abuse. That's Benadryl, which can trigger hallucinations at high doses. This muddies the science. Is the Hat Man a symptom of specific brain chemistry? A pattern locked into human neural architecture? Or something that chooses to appear when consciousness is at its most vulnerable? The debate continues between skeptics and believers. Is this collective hallucination, cultural contamination spreading through the internet, or something that exists in that thin space between worlds? The witnesses don't care about the explanations. They know what they saw. A figure. Tall, silent, wearing a hat, standing at the edge of their bed at 3 a.m. What makes the Hat Man different from other sleep paralysis figures is his consistency. The old hag varies, sometimes young, sometimes old, sometimes not human at all. The shadow people shift and morph, but the Hat Man remains stable. The coat, the hat, the height, the silence. Decade after decade, culture after culture, the same figure stepping out of the same darkness. One account reads like dozens of others. He was standing in the doorway. I couldn't see his face, just the outline. The hat, the coat. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. He just stood there. Time seems to stop during these encounters. Witnesses report the paralysis lasting seconds or lasting an eternity. The Hat Man doesn't operate by normal rules. He exists in nightmare time. And then, always, he's gone. The paralysis breaks. You can move again. You sit up. You turn on every light in the house. The corner where he stood is empty. It was always empty. Or was it? The brain fills in memories. Edits the narrative, smooths over the impossible. By morning, you're not sure what you saw, but you remember the hat. You'll always remember the hat. Sleep researchers have mapped the neural pathways. The amygdala activates. The fusiform face area, the part that recognizes human figures, lights up. The brain is literally designed to find someone watching. This should be reassuring. It's your brain. It's a glitch in the sleep-wake transition. There's no figure. There's no hat. It's neurochemistry and pattern recognition and fear. But tell that to someone who's seen him. Tell that to the thousands of people who drew the same figure without ever speaking to each other. Tell them it wasn't real. The experience changes people. They start sleeping with lights on. They avoid lying on their backs. They dread that moment. That specific moment when the body starts to drift and the room begins to shift. If you've experienced this, if the Hat Man has visited you, there may be ways to cope. Many experts suggest focusing on small movements. Try to wiggle your fingers. Flex your toes. It can help break the paralysis faster. Understanding the phenomenon can reduce the fear. Knowing that sleep paralysis is neurological, that your brain is tricking you, may help you recognize what's happening while it's happening. Some people find it helpful to keep a sleep journal, writing down the episodes, when they happen, what you see, how long they last, can reveal patterns. Stress triggers, position triggers. Timming. Sleep position matters too. Most episodes occur while lying on your back. Sleeping on your side might reduce the frequency. It might keep the visitor at bay, at least sometimes. And if you're curious about what others have experienced, if you want to know you're not alone, there are communities online. Thousands of people sharing their encounters, their drawings, their theories. If these stories resonate with you, if the midnight hours when you find yourself most awake, consider hitting subscribe. We share stories like this every week. The strange, the unexplained, the things that wait in the dark. Some nights, the Hat Man doesn't come. Some nights, you sleep straight through, peaceful and dreamless. You wake with the sun, and the night is just the night. But other nights you feel it coming. That heaviness in your limbs. That moment when the room shifts just slightly. When the shadows in the corner seem to thicken, and you wonder, is he there? Is he standing where you can't quite see? Has he been watching this whole time, waiting for your eyes to close? Science says he's not there. Science says it's your amygdala, your fusiform gyrus, your brain seeing what it's programmed to see in moments of vulnerable transition. But science doesn't explain the Hat. It doesn't explain why thousands of strangers do the same figure, why the coat never changes, why he stands in the corner instead of anywhere else. Maybe it's collective unconscious. Maybe it's cultural contamination. Maybe it's just coincidence. The same nightmare repeated across brains wired the same way. Maybe. Or maybe, and this is the thought that keeps you awake, maybe there's something out there, something that appears at the edge of sleep, something that wears a coat and a hat. If you see him tonight, if you wake unable to move and there's a figure in the corner, remember, you're not the first. You won't be the last. The Hat Man has been watching for a very long time. And when morning comes, when the sun finally rises and the corner's empty and you can move again, you wonder if it was real. Whisper, but you'll remember the hat. Sleep well, and if you can't, we'll be here. In the dark, waiting with you.